Hello, math students. Welcome back to our module called Linear Equations. This is lesson 11, and it is called Constant Rate. Our goal for today we will learn how to write linear equations with two variables and graph them. The question that I want you to be thinking about in this lesson is, what are the parts of a linear equation? All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to give it a try in the Let's Give It a Try section. Okay, Vicki reads at a constant rate. She can read 5 pages in 9 minutes. We want to know how many pages P Vicki can read after minutes T. Okay, so first thing that I want to do is I want to get my variables on there so that I don't get confused. It says we are trying to determine how many pages P Vicki can read after a certain amount of minutes. So again, typically, just for your own knowledge, minutes usually is the independent, and we've talked about this a lot as to why minutes would be the independent, because the minutes keep going. They don't ever stop. So that's an independent variable. And in this problem, we're calling it the variable T. All right, and then the other one that we need to identify so that we can keep track of it is that it says the number of pages, P. So pages read, the variable is P, and we also know that the pages is going to be the dependent, because time, again, determines how many pages get read. Because you're reading for a certain amount of minutes, that tells you how much time it takes. Okay, so on this instance right here, it says that she can read 5 pages in 9 minutes. So what I have to do is I have to figure out what way or how we can set up the table to work with us. First thing that I notice is that our table is pre-filled. So what I would like to do with that table being pre-filled is I actually want to insert one more section. And the reason why is because it gave us some very important information. It says that in 9 minutes, she can read 5 pages. So that is our starting information of what we already know. So it says right here that in 9 minutes, she can read 5 pages. And now what we have to do is we have to come up with the linear equation that would support this. Okay, so if I'm remembering right from previous math that we have worked on, we have determined that in order to find the m, what you have to do is you have to take the y and you have to divide it by the x. And in this instance, we are now seeing that the y is actually the p and the x is the t. So in this specific scenario, we're going to take the p divided by the t. Well, we know that the p is 5, and we know that the t that it took was 9. So in order to do this, we're going to say 5 divided by 9. So m in this instance is 5 divided by 9. That's our unit rate. Okay, so what we have to do with that is now we're writing the linear equation. And remember, the linear equation that we're working with is the time times the unit rate, which is 5/9, equals the pages. So that's how you would write the equation that would work for this problem. Okay, so let's go back for a minute, and it says if you have 0 minutes, I'm going to change colors so we can see it. If we have 0 minutes times our unit rate, which is 5/9, then we would get 0 times 5/9 is 0. So we now know that when we have 0 minutes, we have 0 pages read. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, so now we can figure out this one. If we have 9 minutes, I'm going to do this math over here because I wrote it as a general equation. So 9 minutes times 5/9 equals 45/9, which simplifies to 5. So that's how that one works. So this one would be 9 is the t and 5 is the p because of this mathematical proof right there. So now we know that at 9 minutes you have 5 pages. All right, so now let's try the next one and see what we get. So it says that there are 20 minutes this time, so we're going to take 20 times 5/9 equals Okay, so now let's do some math over here. We have 20 times 5/9. So we know that's 100 divided by 9, right? And 100 divided by 9, let's say it goes in there 9 times because that's 81. And then 100 minus 81 would actually be 9, 1. So that would be 19. So it would be 19 or 9 and 19. That's actually way too little. We can do 10. Come on, Mrs. Nelson, what are you thinking? That's supposed to be 90. Here we go. So that would give us 10. Nope, that's still too. I don't know what is wrong with my brain today. I am so very sorry. It's actually supposed to be 11, which is 99, and then we'd have 1 page left. So that means that you can, you can read 11 and 1/9 pages. I am so sorry. Why can't I do math today? Okay, 11 and 1/9 pages would be in 20 minutes. Holy moly, Mrs. Nelson, get your brain together. 11 and 1/9. I'm very sorry. I apologize. Okay, so now let's do 40. So we're doing 40 minutes times 5/9, and hopefully I can do math this time. So we're going to do 40 over 1 times 5/9, which gives us 200/9. Oh gosh, I'm really, really scared because I really messed up that last didn't I scratch that out? It's supposed to be 11 and 1/9. Okay, now we're actually going to show the math so that hopefully my brain works this time. So 200 divided by 9, that goes 2 times, which is 18. 20 minus 18 is 2. Oh, look at that. We're going to have a repeater. And then we get 2, so that would be 2/9. So we're going to say that you get 22 and 2/9. So 22 and 2/9 in 40 minutes. And now let's do an hour and see what happens. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. I apologize. Let's do this. Okay, so we would take 60 times 5/9 this time and see what happens. So 60 over 1 times 5/9, which equals 300 divided by 9. Oh goodness. Okay, so 300 divided by 9. 9 goes into 30 3 times because that's 27. And that gives me a 3. When I subtract 30 and 27, I get 3. Bring that down, so 3. And again, I have 3 left over, so that would be 3/9 or 1/3. So this is an answer of 33 and 3/9 or 33 and 1/3. And now we have figured out in an hour how many pages can be read. In 40 minutes, how many pages could be read. In 20 minutes, how many pages could be read. In 9 minutes, how many pages could be read. And in 0 minutes, how many pages could be read. So that's some pretty good data for us. So then the question down here that it's asking you to do, if we can get back on track, is we now have to write the linear equation that we used. The linear equation that we used was t times 5/9 equals p. So that's our equation that we've got. Okay? So now the last step that we have to do is we have to make a graph of it so that we can see what it looks like. And over here on the graph it says don't forget to label your graph correctly. So remembering from a long time ago that this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, and we remember that the x-axis is always the independent, so this would be time. And then we know the y-axis is always the dependent, which is the pages read, right? So that's our labeling. Okay, so far so good. And now we've got to get some numbers on there. So we know this is always 0. And then if I'm looking at our time, it's pretty close to, I would say, counting by 20s, all right? But we have a 9-minute in there. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to count by tens, and we'll go that way. So that first one will be 10. So this one will be 20. This will be 30. So this will be 40. This will be 50. So this will be 60. This will be 70. So this will be 80. This will be 90. This will be 100. This will be 110. So this will be 120. This is 130. So this is 140. And we close it off with 150. The reason why I didn't write in all those numbers is because it will get very, very crowded. So I just went ahead and wrote counting by 20s, even though I counted by tens. Okay, so then on the pages, if you look at it, it goes 0, 5, 11 and 1/9, 22 and 2/9, 33 and 3/9. So I would say for counting purposes on this one, I would also say let's count by tens. So this first guy would be 10, this would be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 110, or 130, 140, and we'll end it up with 150 just like we did on the other side. Okay, so now we have them labeled with words to identify, labeled with numbers so we can plot the values, and now it's time to graph. So our very first ordered pair, if you look up here, is 0, 0. So we have to put this guy right here as 0, 0. Our next one that we had was 9, 5. So that one's going to sit. So we go 9 to the right and up 5. So it's about here. Okay. So now we're going to do 20 and 11 and 1/9. So I'm going to go 20, which happens 20 to the right, 11 and 1/9. So here's 10. So 11 and 1/9 is literally really close to right above that. Okay. And then it says 40 and 22 and 2/9. So 40 to the right, 22 and 2/9 would be about there, I would say, right? And then it says, lastly, that we are supposed to do 60 and 33 1/3. So 60 to the right, and 30 is here, and 33 would be about there, I would say, right? And now, if we have our graph plotted correctly, we should be able to connect them all. And when we connect them all, they're going to try very closely to all link up in a linear fashion because it's a linear equation. And if you take a look at that, that's pretty close. All of our points are on our line, okay? And so that's what you're looking for. When you finalize a linear equation to check and see if your answers could be correct, they should all be sitting on a straight line because that's what a linear equation is. A linear equation is a straight line. So when you graph it, your picture should show a straight line, okay? And if I go back and I just highlight those colors again, that one is sitting on the line. This one right here is sitting on the line. This one right here is sitting on the line. This one right here is sitting on the line. And our very first one that always starts at the origin is where the line starts. So we are good. Okay? So all of our points are sitting on the line. And if we were to continue our pattern, it would definitely sit on the line until it falls off the graph. Okay? So going back to our goal for today, today we will learn how to write linear equations with two variables and graph them. We totally did that because here's our table. We turned our table into equation by remembering what our constant was, or a unit rate. Then we took our ordered pairs that we got from using our unit rate to find them, and we graphed a linear equation on our graph, remembering to label everything appropriately. Okay? What are the parts of a linear equation? The parts of a linear equation, just to review it, because you have to memorize this, is you have an independent variable, you have a constant rate of change, and finally, you have your dependent variable. So that right there is the parts of a linear equation. Okay, so there we have it. Got all of our stuff done, and I think you learned something. And you saw Mrs. Nelson have a major brain fart. So I, again, apologize for that. I'm very embarrassed. All right, kiddos, that's all I have for you today. I will talk to you soon. Bye.